Hello, everybody. My name is Tracy Marks, Alteryx ACE with Data Meeting, and I am fortunate enough to talk to some of my other fellow ACEs, Mark and Abhilash, both legends in the Alteryx community, both attended Alteryx Inspire, both very exciting to talk to. So sorry I didn't the intro for you. If you go ahead and introduce yourselves real quick, that would be great.
Mark, go first.
Alphabetically is fine.
Hi, everybody. This is Abhilash here. I work for User Ready, and I work there as a solutions principal. I've been in Alteryx ACEs since 2020, and it's a pleasure being here today with Tracy and Mark.
And I've got my Denver shirt on, my Inspire shirt on, so I can prove I was there, and it's the right size. Let's see, I've been in Alteryx ACE collecting swag since 2015 and using Alteryx since 2005, before it was even Alteryx. I missed one Inspire session, one Inspire event over the course of every Inspire that they've had, and that was because I was in St. Thomas and Hurricane Irma hit it and closed the plant down. So I couldn't go to London for that Inspire. Every Inspire is special, and let's see what I can remember from this one.
Do they all just run together at some point?
They do.
Yeah.
This was my first Inspire, so for me everything is so new and fresh.
That's awesome. So wait, how long have you been using Alteryx?
Me?
Abhilash, yeah.
Since 2015.
2015, okay.
Yeah.
And so it was just the first one you were able to get to, or?
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
It's funny, I think I started at the same time, like the fall 2015, and then I went to San Diego 2016. That's where I met Mark, actually, which is a fun story. And then Vegas. Yeah, good luck. Vegas was awesome. That's when I became an ace in Vegas, and then Anaheim, Nashville, and then it's funny, the last two, it's crazy how I'll start off with this, how much I forgot I missed Inspire. So Inspire is always like this thing for me where I go and I get like my energy back. And I'm excited about like Alteryx for another year. And with the two live Inspires in 2020 and 2021, I just feel like I missed that. Like, it's funny, 2021, I didn't even know it was happening until it was happening. I missed the call of speakers. I missed all that stuff. So just one day I'm like, oh, Inspires this week, which was really weird for me. But I'm glad I got to go back this year and meet all the new aces and see old friends. It's fun. I think probably that's one of my favorite things about Inspire is that like I get to see people that now I've been seeing for 6 years just back, and I know Mark, you've been doing it forever, but like seeing guys like Jared who have been around forever, Mark who's been around forever, as Alteryx changes, right? The dynamic of the organization changes, and the staff that you used to love are gone, and there's new staff that you love. It's nice to see constants, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So guys like Mark always being there, Steve Algren always being there, Adam Riley always being there. It's nice to see those folks. So
yeah, the whole concept of the community is really strong. Like it's different for me though, because I've known you guys even before I kind of came to Alteryx or became an ace. Much like everybody in the community, we see you guys and we probably are like, oh, it's Trace and it's Mark, so they do this and so they're an ace, and we all have these notions about who they might be and what they stand for. And when I met you guys at the conference, it was such an eye opener that you guys are just average other humans, just more passionate, and they just the passion kind of exudes through in the conversation. Then I guess that's really what makes the Inspire conference more fun and more the in-person interaction kind of permeates across individuals when they hang out together. Like Mark, I mean, has so many stories. When I was just sitting there and hearing him talk about his experience with other people, I'm like, wow, I've known about these things, but to hear it from Mark is really fascinating.
Well, it's a big imposter get together because we all suffer from this fear that we're imposters and we need to kind of wear the ACE shirt and know how to wear it properly and make sure it's zipped up the right way or something like that. Somebody's going to realize, hey, I'm not an ACE.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually landed on Monday, and I had when I was traveling from New Jersey to Denver, I had all these conversations going on in my head that when I meet Mark, I'm going to talk to him about this. When I meet Trace, I'm going to talk about that, because again, from my perspective, I had notions about who you guys are and what you guys do and your personalities. And when I met everybody, I felt so happy because everybody had the same amount of imposter syndrome that I do, even today. Um, so it's fascinating you actually say that after so many years of being an ace, you still feel that.
Yeah. It's yeah, it's definitely good to get back together and meet people,
So
but also to go and learn new stuff. I'm gonna segue here into what we were actually going to talk about. Sorry. New all this Inspire was a lot of cool things dropped. Maybe not even things that are we hear about for the first time in this one, but we really got to see a lot of that stuff, live for the first time. So like Auto Insights, we saw Trifacta, and they talked about how they're hoping to have Trifacta come over. So, what were some of the things that you guys really enjoyed about this Inspire? Like that you are excited about the future? I'm super excited. I'll say this: I'm probably more excited about the future of Alteryx right now than I have been in a long time. So I'm excited about some of the new products coming out. I have questions around the server still, but I think I think a lot of the move to cloud's pretty exciting, and Auto Insights looks awesome. And yeah, anyway, Mark or Avilash, if you want to.
Yeah, I also want to tie that back to this battery charging event of Inspire. Um, if you haven't attended Inspire, you should attend Inspire. This is not a paid endorsement, because you're going to hear about Alteryx, the company. You're going to hear about Alteryx, the product, but you're also going to sit down for lunch and find out things about what other people are doing, maybe while you're waiting in queue or the presentation's about to start, that you're going to learn things that inspire you about what are people doing today and why are they there, what are they going to go and see, and your whole plan for Inspire agenda could get derailed by a conversation at breakfast. So uh, really, you don't come into Inspire thinking, hey, I'm going to learn all about this cloud thing, because
Yeah,
somebody might show you the shiny brass ring that has to do with spatial, and you'll be all over spatial. Yeah, that's my experience.
yeah, no,
yeah, I
have,
mean, to that point, Mark, I went in with the notion that I'm going to attend XYZ sessions, and I booked my calendar, and then someone told me there's a UX lab. In fact, actually, the Michelle Claire, she's a product manager for cloud. I happened to run into her, and she's like, "Have you been to the UX lab?" I'm like, "I don't know what that is." And she guided me to that room, and I didn't leave that room for the next 5 hours. I was
yeah,
just so, yeah, I was like a kid in the candy store, just looking at things that Alteryx is building. And, as Tracy said, just I felt so inspired and just more excited about Alteryx than ever before.
yeah,
Yeah, this is kind of the senior person at the table talking. You've got to always make time for the solution center.
hmm
You've
hmm
got to go and make time for the UX lab. You've got to walk the community space and see what's going on there. These are when the question is out there, what's the most inspiring talk or keynote you saw to Inspire? I'm generally more the one-on-one, the conversation that I had with Abalash. Those are more of the memory than necessarily seeing what Alteryx is up to in their keynote. But Charita, and listening to Charita, she was just marvelous. in the presentations, and I'm sorry I don't remember her name from the Grand Prix from
Emma?
McLaren.
Oh, Claire, gotcha. Oh, Emma, the driver.
Emma, yeah.
Yeah, Emma.
Just listening to what they're doing in their life, and this is my opportunity with Alteryx to make a difference or to empower my audience of people that are in the community in my network to go and take action or to be part of something. So the most inspiring talk or session was really in the community for me. It was going to see the stories from Ukraine. So they had a wall up of people that work for Alteryx and their stories, and how this conflict or war or aggression is impacting them. And so knowing that I'm part of this community supporting and standing up for these not defenseless, but these strong individuals and families, that really made me feel more connected and part of this Alteryx community.
Yeah, that's crazy. I met, and I don't want to say her name on here because I don't. Is she an employee for Alteryx, and to get to Inspire, she had to get with refugees to get across to Poland, fly out of Poland in order to get there. Because this was like a month ago. This is still in the middle of the conflict, at the height of the conflict. So, not that it's still not going on, but that was like the process to get there for Inspire, and they were doing other things in town too. But it was awesome, and they talked about the story, and just she had told me that they felt that like they could feel America's support for it, for them. Yeah, I forgot. I didn't forget about that, but I didn't think it was going to be coming out today. So
Alteryx for Good. Alteryx for Good had these. You can make little donations and get these Ukraine Alteryx for Good keychains, and I just any little things that we could do, larger things that we can do. There's a human connection that is Inspire, which Abalash you didn't get when you were attending the virtual Inspire.
Yeah.
So now you get the full flavor of it, and it is going to be different for everyone because we're not all in the same sessions. But what's similar about it is you go away from Inspire challenging yourself. I want to learn about this. I want to try this, knowing that there's community there or other people that you're connected to in your own organizations that can help you along the way, and that it's a safe place to explore. And so it's I've been to other conferences where you collect some swag maybe, but that swag, you don't save it for years like I've got my Alteryx swag. You don't save it, and it doesn't evoke these memories of the connections with people like it will, playing poker with Abalash, or sitting down with Trace and giving him some really strong motivational
advice. Yeah. On that note though, like it is. I've been to other conferences too. Like it's not as personal as it used to be back when there was maybe 1,000 people or like a couple hundred people that went, which is fine. That's how these things evolve, right? But it still seems very personal. Like it's like there were 3,000 people there, I think, in person or whatever, and you didn't get lost in the crowd. Like it's there's something for everybody. There's someone for everybody. There's conversations to be had. It was great, and I love when I'm at Inspire and like I meet somebody or a group or like clients that I've worked with over the phone, right? And I meet them in person for the first time, and then I see them 50 times during the week. Like I just keep running into them, or like at lunchtime or dinner time, like there's an open space and I just run in and sit with them. Or I do appreciate that about Inspire. Something I didn't think, again, with the last two having been virtual, I just totally kind of forgot about that, and I'm glad I went to this one. This is my first time going as a partner, so I've always gone as customer, so it was different. So I didn't even have time to go to the sessions. Like I was just in the the community area the whole time, and it was my first two Inspires. Actually, we talk about not the UX Lab, but the other one, the Solution Center. Like that, in my opinion, has always been like one of the biggest values at Inspire. So my first two Inspires, I went and I didn't go to anything I signed up for, and I just stayed in the Solution Center the whole time, like trying to like, hey, I'm thinking about this, and we want to do these things, and it was a lot of fun. Again, met some great lifelong friends through that, and learned a lot about Alteryx. More so on the server side, I think, with that stuff. They did a lot of server. Like, I remember one year we did we created a portal by taking the login from the user and then pushing that into the actual Alteryx job, which we had to trick it. It was really interesting how we had to do it, but we essentially built something so that we can make like a client-facing portal. So it was fun.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be a limit to that, and so I'm not trying to overbook myself for the next Inspire, but one of the people that I met at breakfast was telling me about how she had taken a macro building class, and she can't wait to get back to the office to build her first macro. And I was, well, what is your macro going to do? And I was like, well, I don't think you need to do it quite that way, but if you want to build a macro and learn the macro techniques, I'm free at whatever the time was. And I spent an hour and a half with her. And we, instead of waiting to get back to the office to see could she apply the macro stuff, we just went to the Solution Center and built her what she needed. When I say we, it was me. I just sat with her, and we did that in the Solution Center, and I think for her, she'll be, maybe at some point in time coming back with a story about how this guy Marquis Crew made her miss some other session that she was planning on going to.
You've ruined somebody forever, Mark. No, that's awesome.
Bring your work assignments to the Solution Center during Inspire and watch other people do your work for you.
Yes, it is. It's like for the cost of a ticket, the amount of enablement hours you can squeeze out of that is totally worth it. So the live training, it really is a good value. Yeah. I have a question. So I'm going to go back to the things that we heard about at Inspire. I have had a handful of people come up to me about the ability to black out scheduling on the server. So like if you need to have like a 1 hour window during the night when you do backups or something like that, that you can black out schedules. Is that something that they talked about and I totally missed? Is that?
I've had a secret about how to do that for quite some time. Do you want to hear my secret? I don't remember that they've got I call it quiescing.
Okay.
So
I'm going to start writing things down. Go for it.
Okay. Well, what will happen within the scheduler, scheduling of jobs, is the controller will read the schedule and say, do I have jobs to run? And the answer will be yes. They'll also look at how many jobs are currently running in the Mongo database. And there's a limit to how many jobs can run at a time. So let's just say the number is 4.
Mm-hmm.
So you're allowed to run 4 jobs on an 8-core machine. And what I would do is I would edit into the Mongo database as an administrator, and I'd create 4 zombie jobs, zombie 1, zombie 2, 3, and 4, and I'd say I am active. So now these zombie jobs are there, and when the controller looks to see, do I have any jobs running, it looks at the database, and the database says, yeah, I've got 4 zombie jobs running. So it won't submit any more jobs to go into the pocket of initiators. So the way that I do this is I set up zombie jobs and I turn them on as active, and then nothing else can run, even though nothing is really running because they just took up all the open spaces. So I put them at the front of the line, and as soon as they come up, nothing else runs. And then you can change their status from active, and you've now quiesced the database.
Interesting. So the answer is no, there wasn't something that I missed.
Or that we both missed.
That we both missed. Because that sounds super cool, and I want to use it without having to do that thing that you just said, Mark. That seems like a some of the frustrations, right, is that we have these problems and you have to kind of hack your way around it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's why, they may have an easy button today, but, I've been using the server since for a while. So learning the new trick about, they've got an ability to sort by numbers instead of letters. I didn't read that.
That's awesome. It's the server's changed a lot. I mean, at its core, I think there's still some of the things that it needs like adjustments. But I actually have just been helping somebody through an update from a 2019 version, and it's over the slow time, right? You forget about the little changes that happen, but we just brought it current. And I was like, wow, this has changed so much as a product. And even I haven't used the 22.1 yet, but I was working with somebody on it, and they finally got rid of studios. They got rid of it is cleaned up quite nicely, and I'm excited about where it's going. Did you get any chance to see Auto Insights?
I've seen demos of it before Inspire.
Gotcha.
One of the perks being an ace.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, what did you say, Abhilash?
I was at the booth and I got a demo from someone there. That's about it.
It is. I'm getting a license here soon, and I'm very excited about it because it is. I've seen some live stuff with folks. Vbs scripts. VBA scripts? Are you seeing the question?
What is it?
A VBS script. Now we're gonna. Okay, VBS scripts.
You could probably run it using a run.
Oh, Visual Basic. Yeah. Can you embed it in a?
If it can run off of a run command, yes.
Yeah, like command line.
Yeah, command.
Yeah, the run tool should be able to support that.
I love how these things.
I always wonder, there are times where I'll create a script to run because at the end of a job, I want to. One of the things that Alteryx doesn't natively do easily is move files around. If I wanted to go and take directories, rename them, create directories, take things that are on the disk and put them onto the network, you can't just do that so easily. So I will, in the process, write a script and then execute it. So, following this job, run me, I could create as a script and then tell Alteryx in the execution of the job, when you complete without errors, execute the script on the server. But you have permission. By the way, running a script like that requires an elevation that you can't. Security should be set so that there's a safe mode, and you would be an unsafe application if you're letting people run scripts on the server.
Like, yeah, because you can do malicious things with command line, right? So yes, sorry, Spiros. Is it Spiros? Is that where I saw that?
But thank you again for the question.
Yes.
We really
Yes, thank
like
you for the
questions.
Let's see. Comments. Yes, Spiros. So yes, through command line, what Mark had mentioned is that you can build a command script. The server cuts the external scripts. We could probably dive down this rabbit hole, and we will for a second. But is it that, like, so when you run a script from command prompt, Alteryx will continue to run once it kicks off the script. Like the script, it doesn't wait for the script to finish before. So maybe there's a timing issue with that, or you could have some.
There is a timing on it. You can go and yeah. I can see you're looking at Alteryx right now. The run command. Let me go and pull up a run command tool.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, you could use the events tool and just execute it after the workflow completes.
Now, I do recall there is a timing that you can make it go longer. I just don't see it in the run command.
There's another question. Here's actually a good question. Sorry, not that the other question wasn't a good question. This is a good question for Mark. It's a question: do crew macros ping external websites periodically to update the macros to the latest version? Is there an auto update for the crew macros?
No,
not yet.
It's not that it's not. I have been waiting on the hosting of a macro website for Alteryx, the Alteryx marketplace, and I think that ideally what we want to do is make the crew macros a part of the install as an optional installation and be able to keep everything fresh and up to date. But the way that it is now, if I were to go and put another update for a crew macro out there, I'm going to have unintentional potential impacts on people that are running workflows of different versions or that don't know to look for it. So the answer is no. Do the double point, that's going to work. So yeah, no, the base crew macros have not been updated. Alteryx did, however, release their first runner macro. So they've created a runner macro. It's available from Alteryx, directly supported by them on Chaos Reigns Within. I've put a video out there about if you wanted to turn the runner macro into a list runner, how to build a macro around their macro instead of using crew macros, if that makes sense. And I've been posting new macros to the gallery, which is now on community.alteryx.com. There's a gallery section, and you could search for crew.
I'm glad this came up, and I knew it would. When is, and I'll ask this, and I might get in trouble for it, but when are the crew macros going to be supported by Alteryx directly? Okay, next question. Auto Insights.
Nicole Johnson just went over to Alteryx, and she's now the product manager for Designer. So I think that's a good question for Nicole. Got to bring her on another show.
Yeah, I will. I'm going to bring her on. That's awesome. Okay, Auto Insights or Trifecta or What other cool stuff? Oh, Sneaks. Sneaks was awesome. I hope that is something that they do every year, where they had Jesse and Steve and all those folks up to show the
Yeah, I was excited about Jesse's piece where he was talking
Yeah.
about apps on the cloud and the whole concept of metric store, which is another theme that I actually got to spend some time at the UX lab playing with the metric store. I initially didn't get it, obviously because they, when you're sitting in the UX lab, they kind of want you to verbalize what you're thinking as you go through the product. But as I spent time with it, it made more sense and it got more intuitive. And literally, it's going to be building a metric store on top of the data, and that's I think an interesting area that Alteryx can you know dig deeper into. Just make life easy for users.
Can you talk about this? So, like, is that something that exists within an organization, or it's just a public facing thing, or like how does that work?
So, from the little that I understand, organizations will have a single source of truth using a metric store. So, essentially, when you have different definitions of a particular metric, like sales can be defined as different ways by different teams and departments, a metric store kind of standardizes a metric for you. So, all the data prep or the ETL work happens um, in the background, and the entire metric store is available so that when users come in, and if they're working on some machine learning model, they don't have to recreate the data pipeline. It's actually available in the metric store. You drag and drop. I'm assuming that's really where they're going to go. I don't think they've gone down the path of integrating that end to end. It's just a concept at this point. But at least that's how I was thinking about how that might actually be so beneficial for business users, where me as a developer can go through the entire data dictionary that an organization may have, build the metrics, do the ETL, prep it, make it available for users. So depending on what they want to do, which universe of data that they want to use, so sales versus marketing, bring that into your machine learning models, and then do whatever analysis you need to do. That's how I understood it. Does that make sense? Or did I just go too fast?
You're good. I'm just trying to think through that. But then I got distracted in my head about other UX things, and I apologize. So,
Just a metric layer, basically.
yeah. What interface wise? How does that work? Like, is that something you go in and?
I don't know how they're going to do it. It was a web UI,
Okay.
so I think it's more for the cloud product,
which is out a bit, I guess. Which I also wonder if that's why they. No, never mind. I think I was the only one on Sneaks. I think I was the only one that voted for the SQL code in the NDB tools, because I think I've been asking for that since the dawn of time, and when they showed it, I was like, yes, it's gonna happen, and then it still hasn't happened because they lost.
So in Sneaks, for people who weren't there, it was just, hey, this is a fun project. Let me go and use Alteryx to do something that it potentially could do. And in one of the Sneaks, which is just, I can go and teach Alteryx by storytelling with kids and turn it into a game. And so imagine learning modeling as a primary school student and being able to have fun and enjoy it like we are as adults playing with Alteryx today, but as kids. And so I just seeing that really makes me think, boy, in community, we should have a little daycare area where kids are playing with Alteryx, and maybe they're their own little solution center. But it really, there's no barrier in age to learning Alteryx, and that's what this Sneak was.
Yeah, and I have little kids too, and I wonder about that. Like, is we talk about it, like when is it, like when do we get our kids into it? I've got a almost 4-year-old. I'm like, have I missed it? Have I not got him into it yet? Is he not going to be an Alteryx savant because I waited too long. But now that like there are these tools that are just new ways to teach kids just coding in general or computery functions. I'm excited that Alteryx is finally getting into that game. That's pretty cool.
So you're like Obi-Wan and your children are like Luke and Leia.
Yeah, exactly. I'm so nervous for them as like teenagers because I'm gonna be like, look at this line of code that I built. And they're gonna be like, "It's you, Dad," and it's I think about that. I don't know. They might enjoy coding. Yes.
So we did go to Inspire. We were all at the same Inspire.
Yes. We were all at the same Inspire.
But it was different for each of us.
It was different for each of us. It was good. It was just good. It was good. It was good. Again, connecting with people. I've been gone from that for like a month, and it's some of that's kind of gone now. But I think back on it. It was my favorite thing right now is not so much connecting myself, but like I love when people come up to me and they're like, "Hey, I was thinking about this thing." Whatever it is, and they're like, "Oh, you know who you should talk to," and then we just go find that person, and it's like someone that works at Alteryx that they can talk to that exact same thing. I think that's my hardest part with Alteryx right now is that it's sometimes hard to understand who is in charge of what. And again, I talk about what's the same. There was a time it was at the entrance, and Steve Algren and Adam Riley were standing there talking to each other. I was like, and people were just walking by him. I was like, nobody has any idea what's happening right now. Like this is an amazing thing that's happening right now. People are just walking by it, and it's.
Yeah, today I saw on LinkedIn. It was Amy Holland's 25-year anniversary with Alteryx, and you can always find her. She's always there, hiding in plain sight.
She was, yes. I saw her last day this year. She definitely seems like she's taken a little bit step back a little bit. Amy, she developed the widgets for the tools, correct? Is that Amy?
No, that's Tara.
Yes, you are correct. That is Tara, who I also saw. So they were both there.
But Adam Riley, yes. You saw him. Yep.
Yes.
The original founder of the Crew macros.
Yes, original of the Crew, and then the successor of Ned, as I understand it. So he's kind of doing a lot of the engine work that Ned was doing, and that's again the thing. I love being there, and there's just people that are just a billion times smarter than me, and I'm like, this is amazing that we're in the same room. And then they get talking, and they're like, what cool things are you doing? I'm like, nothing like what you're doing. And then they are always very kind, and that's I remember the first time I met Joe. Joe Lipsky. First time I met Joe Lipsky. It was in a UX lab, and I was standing next to him, and we were talking. I can't even remember what tool it was, but we just started going. This was before I was an ACE. We just started going about this conversation about like what this new thing, how it could affect you. And he was very like inquisitive. He was like, yes, it's all very interesting. And he's like, I hadn't thought about this perspective. And I was like, what did I just talked to this guy who's an ACE, and he thought I had interesting perspective. And then I had to go home and take a cold shower, and it was good. It was cool. I love Inspire. So much fun. Vegas next year. Might need to not go to that one just to be safe. It's gonna be a good time. I'm very excited for it.
Well, they're coming right now. Amsterdam is the next one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
But the next Americas will be in Vegas.
Yes. Which Amsterdam, that could be fun too. I need to find out a way to get out there.
Now, you didn't come see me. I was in Alteryx Obscura with Adam and with Steve Algren and Jesse. Yeah. And this session was obscure things you can do with Alteryx. And we hope that gets picked up like the 30 tricks or the tips and tricks sessions, which you really need to watch and see what's new in Alteryx, because from one Inspire to the next, there's always that many new things that you can do with Alteryx. And it's just in your face lightning updates to the designer or other features of Alteryx. But Obscura, what we had was, I want to say it was a minute and a half, maybe it was 2 minutes timed, where we could go and do something extraordinary with Alteryx that you just wouldn't expect to have it blend your beverage in the morning, whatever it might be, and Alteryx does it. So I think that's going to be a session. If they have a Alteryx Obscura session in the catalog and you're watching this now and Inspire is coming, make sure you go to the Obscura event. It's fun if you're a little bit geeky or tremendously geeky.
That reminds me of when they tried to do, or they did it, I think it was 2000, it was Vegas when they did that. They asked Alexa if she could run a workflow or something like that. Do you remember that?
I remember.
Yes,
that was a bad time for a demo.
Yeah, but we all ended up getting that email. I think it was later that day. But the idea that you could run an Alteryx workflow via Alexa was pretty cool. Now I want to do it.
You could put that into an Obscura presentation.
Yeah, I still have my Alteryx Alexa.
So do I.
Yeah, it's
pretty
much
on Echo, and it's got the Alteryx tools on it. Yeah, I'm not the only swag hoarder.
Yeah, that one was a particularly cool one. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think of swag that I really love. You know what? Actually, I have a 2000. My oldest swag is from Inspire 2016, and it was a shirt, San Diego. So it said it had the conditions tool on the back. It said conditions are good, San Diego 2016.
Well, if you went back before they had Inspire, it was called Extend the Reach.
Okay.
And the conference was so small, literally, it's like you're on a little cruise ship. By the way, we got snowed in at the hotel, but you would go up to your room and you'd have a gift bag waiting for you in the hotel room.
Oh yeah,
that's how small of an event it was.
Who was I talking? Actually, last month I talked to Jared Tiener, about how like the early Grand Prix was everybody sitting in a room. Yeah, and there'd be like 16 people or whatever. And did you ever do one of those little Grand Prix?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was a loser.
Yeah, I would be a loser too. I'm not a fast developer. I'm always very impressed by their ability to like think on the fly like that. Yeah.
I was impressed by Claire, what she did.
Yeah.
She went vertical and horizontal for her races.
Oh, what a flex.
Yeah.
And she took some of my advice. Not that my advice helped her tremendously, but it was like, if you're running something that's got the spatial tools or some other tools that are going to take time to run, and you think you did it right, cache them. Yeah. So use the cache to your advantage, because people who win the Grand Prix by a couple of seconds will, anything to shave off that time. If you're the first loser, you would have used the cache if you had it available.
Yeah. Cache, great tool that hasn't always been around. Do let me some caching functions.
So the session was the Grand Prix for you, maybe. That was, watching.
My inspiring thing.
Yeah.
Oh no, I think the thing that got me more excited than anything was sneaks. I loved it. I loved the full hour. I was on the edge of my seat, so excited to see what people were bringing out. And I wish we could have all of the things. That in the talk with Emma Gilmore. That was awesome too. I really enjoyed that. Yeah, my talk. I couldn't get my computer connected, so for like the first 10 minutes, um, they had like IT on the stage, and I'm on the other half of the stage, and I'm just like, no. The whole thing was like, it was very interactive and very like I'm supposed to be, and I was just kind of like waving my hands around and I told dad jokes, and it was good. That was my fun part. I actually think I did really well. I had a really good session, even though it was a complete disaster for the first 10 minutes.
So for those people that don't know me, I have a fear of public speaking.
And I actually didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because here we are. And
so here we are, but I'm just looking at a screen that has three of us. Okay, nobody else interacting with us. But that's what I would like to do is when people are coming into the auditorium, I have my own swag. I made hacky sacks one year. I made poodles another year. Or I'll start asking questions to the people coming in and taunting the people who are sitting in the back of the room to come forward. And so I de-stress myself by, as an example, throwing a hacky sack at you while you're not looking and enjoy the impact.
That's awesome.
And it really then helped me. Like right now, I'm looking up at a screen, hoping some questions come in, but some pointed questions, not necessarily questions for Trayson that he doesn't know the answer to would be lovely.
Oh, that's great.
To put him on the spot. But those are the things that get me into now I can do public speaking because I'm having fun and doing something like that. So if my AV was having issues, couldn't get the computer set up for 10 minutes, I would welcome it that I didn't have to actually present a PowerPoint for 10 minutes.
Yeah, that was because I was able to fit it all into 20 minutes. It probably should have been like 15 minutes worth of content that I had to somehow expand into 30 minutes, but it was a good time. Did you speak Abhilash?
I didn't. For me, it was next just year. Getting a next one.
Yeah.
I just want to get the experience here this time around.
Oh yeah, it's good. I'm actually excited for you to get the opportunity to speak. It's so much fun. It's a nerve-wracking a little bit. Yeah. I know that every year the like handlers that are like trying to get us to like they hate me because I never make any of my deadlines. So it can be nerve-wracking, but it's well worth it.
Yeah, I've been told.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk, but I wasn't sure what the format is. I mean, it's one thing to catch up on all the Inspire events on YouTube. Yeah. So I've actually watched a lot of them in the past on YouTube. But then the in-person feel, the audience, the question, and the interactivity, I just want to get a sense of what that's all about. Now that I have a sense for it, I want to do it the next time around. Yeah, it's a fun way to actually learn from the audience more than anything else. Like for me, it's not about actually sharing what I've learned. It's actually learning what people are doing, because the question is really what makes it more fun and interesting. They catch you off guard if it's a really good question and makes you think on the fly, which in a sense is a masochistic feeling because you're kind of putting yourself on the spot. But that's the whole point.
So there's a question that came in about data governance and how to make sure that people are using validated data sets. There are detective controls and preventive controls. A preventive control would say, I can only read data that lives inside of Oracle, or I can only read data that lives inside of this network directory. So you're not able to bring in ungoverned data into your process. the validated data sets, some of that is tribal knowledge about what is validated data sets, or like you were talking about earlier, being able to say, I want to use the metadata, so I want to go and calculate sales revenue. And if there's 6 different formulas for what is sales revenue, or I'm writing the formula from scratch, that I'm now generating data because I'm creating a bad or a proper formula for that. I think what you need to do with is have a good relationship between IT governance and the line of business that's constructing the workflows. And I wouldn't try to over engineer it. I would just try to make sure maybe they're best practices that you have, that if you're creating a data set, you list all of the input data streams that went into this process. So if you were to come up with things to do to approach data governance that would show thoughtfulness and consideration to the process, I think that goes a long way.
Have you used Connect, Mark?
Have I used Connect in an early instance? Yes, but I think that most people aren't using Connect. Mm-hmm. So what you would want to be able to, I think the question from Skylar is, how do I do that as a general practice, not as a control against all of Alteryx? Because there's another view of governing data inputs. There are the things that you do because your boss wants to know, he's going into a meeting, I need to go and find out something, versus this is production workflows that need to run, and we make business decisions, or our customers see these numbers rather than they're going to go into a PowerPoint. And you may have different governance rules depending on what type of workflow it is.
I'm trying to think through like how you could use the server to sort of govern some of that. Well, if you have like sources of truth, it's hard to say a single source of truth, right? But you can also make sure that you limit connections to, like, through run as settings. Sorry to completely derail what Mark was saying. You could use run as settings. So like if you have credentials that have access to a certain machine, and that's the specific machine you want to use, and they only have access to that or whatever, you can use the run as settings to push people into.
If you use Calgary as an example, if you use Calgary, the data sets themselves are a drop down from a list. So say you were looking for individual or household data. Calgary is able to know the instances, to know that I'm using the current data versus last month's data, etc. So in some cases, instead of having the input tool reading where somebody is directing themselves to data, if you were to obfuscate that, put it a layer up to be able to say, I want to read current sales data, and let that current sales data, call it a macro, do the reading to what is the current data, so that you don't have the ability to select your own data set, but rather you come to that drop-down list to do the input from the right source. That's another way to skin that cat.
All right. As now I'm thinking about that, or if like you built views or something like that on top of. Yeah. We are at time, or we're close to time. Parting thoughts.
Well, I didn't know what to expect here. I don't know if I qualified in any of my statements as thought leadership, but at least I hope to be thoughtful.
Yeah, same as Mark. Thank you again, Trace and everybody else who joined in with questions. Hope this was helpful to you, and hope we do this again.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to let you know, I bring you everybody else on so that I can hide behind all of you. So this was great. You were awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. Hope to see you again soon. We do these every month. So and we also do Transformation Tuesdays. So we have we have weekly topics. So like there'll be like around something fun like beer or whatever. And if that's something you want to be involved with, to let us know. So, all right, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Cheers.
See you.